Let's move on now to the Cincinnati Bengals training camp preview, where we're going to break down why the top story that you have to pay attention to is how Orlando Brown Jr. molds into this offensive line for Cincinnati Bengals and how the rest of the offensive line kind of molds in with him and how well they gel together. Another top story as well to focus on is going to be the Bengals secondary. They lost a lot of key players and former starters from last year's team. And will the replacements be able to provide the same effectiveness or better effectiveness than the people that moved on? But before we do that, if you have not already, hit the subscribe button and also ring the bell to get notified when we release new content. We are doing a training camp review for all 32 teams, and we will also be doing weekly prediction videos every week throughout the entirety of the regular season. So if you want to get notified of the training camp videos and also as well of the regular season prediction videos of all of the Bengals games, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also ring the bell to get notified. And Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
So, Orlando Brown Jr. signing with the Bengals. Congratulations to him. I think like a $31 million upfront signing bonus. I think it was something along those lines.
Yeah, I believe
that was a pretty good Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
Whatever day, one of the 7 days that ends in a Y for him. I really like this addition. Obviously, I think it solidifies, gives them consistency overall in the offensive line, especially for this team who wants. I mean, Joe Burrow is their golden ticket. He's going to win them the Super Bowl eventually. They've done very well drafting, obviously getting Jamar Chase and then T. Higgins as well as hit. I think then they did a good job drafting potential future young receivers in Charlie Jones and also Andre Yoshua. But I think getting Orlando Brown Jr. is going to help overall because if he's the top offensive lineman, then it's just going to bump everybody down. The second offensive now, it can be, I think, the right tackle, Jonah Williams. Well, I'm trying to remember actually who was their starting left tackle last year because it felt like he just kept rotating because of some of the injuries, especially on the last.
Yeah, especially at the end of the season, I think they were playing with actually the left guard at left tackle. But granted, it might have been Lyle Collins.
Okay.
But at the end of the season, I mean, their whole offensive line was playing injured. I mean, it wasn't even.
I remember it just happened all at once. It was like week 16. There was a major one. I think was it Alex Kappa? I think is what it was.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, and then it was just one after another. Like
Joe Tooney was playing hurt in the AFC Championship game. I know Jackson Carman, I believe, was playing hurt as well. So I think Orlando Brown Jr. Knock on wood hasn't had an injury in a while, if ever, actually. And so hopefully he brings a sense of stability and consistency to that left tackle position in the offensive line as a whole.
Yeah.
So he is a little bit more of a mauler, I think, than
you said Joe Tooney.
Or not Joe Tooney.
Ted Karras?
Ted Karras, that's right.
Yeah,
both former Patriots guards. No, and so I think he brings a big level of stability to that offensive line, and he's a little bit more of a mauler, and so I think that's going to help out in the run game, especially in short yardage situations. Not that the Bengals were specifically bad at that last year, but that's always nice to have a 6'7", 340-pound offensive lineman, pushing the way through. So
absolutely, yeah. Especially then too with Joe Mixon potentially coming into. Well, they did renegotiate his contract, so you could say longer, but is that still a ticking time bomb? Just kind of on his time here, so that whenever someone replaces him, then you can just have any running back there. Mm-hmm. As we saw kind of with like the Falcons, for example, like a 5th-round running back could be a 1,000-yard rusher when you got a good offensive line in front of you. And so if you got a good offensive line in front of you, you can protect the quarterback, also create running lanes. If they're able to do that in this offense, it's just with how good Joe Burrow is, how elite Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are. It's just going to be really tough to play against these guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, hopefully this offensive line picks things up a little bit quicker than they did last year. But even then, we saw them go on that tear in like the start of the second half of the season on, and like they were almost unbeatable. Mm-hmm. And now I think you're going to give Joe Burrow more time in the pocket, which is just kind of terrifying with the weapons that they have. And yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Orlando Brown Jr., he definitely earned what he got paid, and I think the Bengals are a better team for it. So, and it was smart of them to front load his contract. So Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase's contract comes to comes due, they can.
Those will be a little bit easier to pay off.
Yeah, exactly. So
let's move on though now to the other side of the ball. One of the key things going on throughout the offseason was there were just a lot of people hitting free agency, mainly just on one area of the defense, and that was the secondary. So Von Bell moved on to the Panthers. Jesse Bates and Trey Flowers went on to the Falcons as well. They did re-sign somebody, I thought that played more snaps. Okay, maybe not. Oh, they haven't re-signed Eli Apple yet. And so when you're coming in, that then to me coming into training camp is how is Dax Hill going to do coming in as a starting strong safety? How is Cam Taylor-Britt, both guys that they drafted in last year's draft, the 2022 draft? How are they going to be? How is their development going to be? I like both the players. I like the picks. I think that they still need to improve, but just like how sophomore season NFL players they're just room to improve.
Mm-hmm.
How much improvement do they need, and is it going to have a major impact on the overall effectiveness of this defense?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Cam Taylor-Britt, I think, overperformed a little bit in 2022. He was getting playing time in that Buffalo playoff game, and I think even against Kansas City. And actually, I believe he had the closing interception in that game as well. So they definitely have some good young talent there. I am excited for DJ Turner to come in. He has some a freakishly elite speed that he brings to that corner position, but he was also a little bit more refined, I think, than people give him credit for. I know Chris Sims really, really liked him coming out of this class. So that's going to be interesting to see how he does. He should play a pretty significant role. They want to say they drafted him pretty high in the second round. So that's going to be really interesting. This front seven of this defense is fantastic. So it's going to be really interesting to see how well they can translate that into being a productive secondary.
I agree completely. Another addition they also added in the offseason as well, just to kind of throw in the mix of how everybody will mesh together, is Nick Scott, free safety from the Rams. So, but I agree with you as well. The front seven was keeping them in games. Even honestly, when they went to the Super Bowl, their secondary wasn't actually really that good, in my opinion. And so I think they did show improvement, but then all the guys that improved and were playing better for them left. So can they keep that going?
Yeah, one of the things that having that really solid front seven allows them to do is be a little bit more loose in coverage, right? Teams can't really run the ball that well against them because that front four specifically is really good. So they're allowed to maybe drop another guy back in coverage and kind of play a little bit more off. So that is a big benefit, but I'm excited to see it. They're still my favorite to win this division. And I think they should be right back in the AFC Championship game if all things go correctly. So,
which is crazy, just how confident I think we both are in that, considering how dominant or how great the AFC is. Colts and Texans are the two teams. I'm not very confident that they can make the playoffs. Even the Broncos, you're like,
if they play well,
I can see a route where they can make the playoffs because they have the talent on paper.
Yeah,
they probably won't. I hope they don't. But it is the Bengals are still top notch. I mean, I know it's hard to say the Chiefs are number one just because they've won 2 of the past 3 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals, I'll just say number 2. I'll say number 2 just because they haven't. But they beat the Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship. So I would say that they're 1A, 1B. Essentially,
yeah, and that to me, I think. You look at the AFC and you have the Bills in the AFC East that I think can really truly compete with these teams on a week in week out basis. But you have a bunch of really good teams and you have a couple great teams. And I think the Bengals are one of the great teams. So let's go ahead and wrap up the Bengals training camp preview there. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you think of the Bengals going into the 2023 season. You think they're going to continue to improve and be back in the Super Bowl like they were a couple years ago? Or do you think maybe some of these offseason additions were overrated? Let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.